Before we dive right into this lesson, a quick note. The concepts that we're going to talk about here are all bred from racing, from the pursuit of speed. Now, that being said, we have to remember that speed and safety are two words that are interchangeable for us here at Ride University, in that the same concepts that allow racers to go as fast as they can on the racetrack can allow you to be as safe as you can be on the racetrack. So, without further ado, let's introduce the first big concept for line choice, using all of the racetrack. It's a really big underlying concept that spans pretty much all of line choice for us. There are going to be some few edge circumstances, a few special cases where we won't choose to use all of the racetrack, but for the most part, going from outside edge to inside edge back to outside edge is going to be the best way for us to create big radiuses and ultimately be the best line around a standard corner. So let's look at that right now. Throughout this course, we're going to be talking about two riders, our red line rider and our blue line rider. In this instance, we're looking at a diagram between the two where you can clearly see the blue line rider doesn't use all of the racetrack, but red line does. So what does that mean? Blue line is going to have to hold his or her lean angle much longer than our red line rider. Now, we know from our body position course that lean angle is finite. There's only so much of it and then it's gone. So if we're squandering it due to poor line choice and not using all the racetrack, that's going to be a problem. Now when it comes to radius, radius equals safety. When we think back to our body position course, we learned that lean angle is finite. When we've got a bigger radius, we can run essentially the same speed with less lean angle, so it's safer. Now on the speed side of things, bigger radius can also mean greater speed. If we want to run the same lean angle but a higher speed, that's also achievable through running a bigger radius. So that's why using all of the racetrack is so critical. Outside edge to inside edge to outside edge in a corner like this is going to give us the biggest radius, and it's going to be the fastest way or the safer way, your choice. One thing to note before we end this lesson, there are some exceptions to this when it comes to racetrack surface. There may be some instances where the surface of a track, by using outside edge to inside edge to outside edge, maybe at that apex point we have some degraded surface or some slippery oil dry that's down on the track, something that's going to cause us to have less traction than we normally would. In an instance like that, it is acceptable to adjust your line so that you don't use all the racetrack, but you maintain the highest levels of traction possible. So that's something to think about. You can see here in this diagram our red line rider goes from outside edge to the closest possible point on the inside of the track that he can achieve while still maintaining 100% traction. You can see here on this diagram, our red line rider goes from outside edge to the closest point to the inside he can achieve while still maintaining good traction. So he still uses all the track on the exit. He gives up a little bit right there in the middle, but maybe whatever was on the track there for him made it more advantageous to pick this slightly wider line. So just a quick note before we move along and move into our second core concept for picking the best line possible.